It's a Friday afternoon, and you're driving north. You watch the highway, and you start counting. Every third vehicle is a gleaming luxury SUV, and hitched behind it, a trailer carrying a brand new jet ski. They're all pointed the same direction you are, toward the lakes, toward the docks, toward $1 million cottage, waiting at the end of some gravel road. And somewhere around the second hour of that drive, you feel it. That specific, cold knot in your stomach. You think about your own bank balance. You think about the average salary in Toronto or Vancouver. And you ask yourself the quiet question that nobody says out loud. What secret did I miss? Am I the only one who's failing? Take a breath. Because we're not here to shame you, and we're not here to sell you a dream. Today, we're going to show you the high-interest scaffolding that holds up the entire Canadian lake life. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Here's the first secret. Most of what you're looking at on that highway isn't wealth. It's a transfusion. What StatCan quietly confirms is that most cottage wealth in this country was never saved up in a bank account. It was transfused, pulled straight out of the primary home. Right now, more than 45% of every secondary property purchase in Canada is initiated using equity extracted from a primary residence, almost always through a HELOC. Let that land. Nearly half of the cottages on that lake weren't bought with cash. They were bought by bleeding the bricks. Mom and Dad borrowed against the suburban house, the one they've owned for 20 years, to build the dock at the lake. The bank didn't hand them a pile of money because they were rich. The bank handed them that money because their first house went up in value, and they were willing to pledge it. And this is where I want you to picture something simple. Not a furnace, not a scuba tank, just your phone. Imagine you're away from any power outlet, and you use your main smartphone to charge a second, older tablet. On both screens, the little battery icon lights up. Both devices say on. To anyone watching, it looks like you've got twice as much tech, twice as much power. But you and I both know what's really happening. You're draining one battery to feed two screens. And in 2026, with a HELOC sitting at 7%, you're draining that main battery, your home equity, twice as fast, just to keep that second screen, the cottage, from going dark. Here's the cruel part. If you don't find a wall plug soon, and by wall plug, I mean a massive raise, a real jump in your income, both screens are going to hit zero at the exact same moment. Not one, then the other. Both, at once. Run the numbers with me. Say the primary mortgage is locked in at 5.5% on a 5-year fixed. That part feels stable. But the cottage? The cottage is riding on that HELOC at 7%. And that rate floats. Borrow $400,000 of equity to buy the place, and you're paying $28,000 a year in interest alone. Not principal. Interest. That's before you've paid down a single dollar of what you actually owe. And the interest is just the beginning. Because a cottage doesn't sit there quietly. Every single year, before you burn one tank of gas driving up, the hidden siphons are already running. Property tax, septic maintenance, specialized cottage insurance. Because insuring a place near water, far from a fire hall, isn't cheap. In 2026, those hidden siphons run an average of $6,500 a year. Add the hydro to keep the lights on, and that number only climbs. So how are people planning to pay for all of this? 2 words, rent it. The whole plan, for a huge number of these buyers, was simple. We'll just rent it out on Airbnb when we're not using it. The guests will pay the mortgage. On a spreadsheet back in 2023, that math worked beautifully. But then, 2026 arrived, and with it, the regulatory wall. All across cottage country, the Muskoka effect in Ontario, the Okanagan effect out in British Columbia, townships and municipalities have been slamming the door on short-term rentals. New short-term rental bylaws, or STR bylaws, are restricting who can rent, when they can rent, and how often. And where the rentals are still allowed, brand new municipal taxes have carved straight into the profit. The result? Many cottage owners who counted on that income are now watching a 30% drop in their net take. The investment that was supposed to pay the bill has quietly turned into a liability that adds to it. Which brings me to the second picture I want you to hold in your mind. A mirror. The cottage lifestyle is a giant, beautiful mirror. It reflects an image of total, effortless success out to the whole world. To your neighbors, to your coworkers, to everyone scrolling past the lake photos. It's stunning, but here's what nobody sees from the front. That mirror is only a few millimeters thick, and it's held up by a single wire. That wire is 2 things braided together. Your ability to keep earning a high T4 income and the bank's willingness to keep your HELOC limit open. That's it. That's the whole support system. The moment that wire phrase, a layoff, an illness, a rate hike, a bank that suddenly gets nervous and freezes the line, the mirror doesn't just crack. It shatters into 1,000 pieces of unpayable debt. And if you want to know what living behind that mirror actually feels like, it's this. It's waking up on any quiet morning, at the start of the work week, and doing the quiet arithmetic in your head. You realize you're working Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 4 full days, just to cover the carrying cost of a view. A view you actually get to sit in front of for maybe 3 days a month. You're not living the lake life, you're commuting to it, and financing it, from a desk. Now let's say you see all of this, and you decide to get out. Sell the cottage, take the win, walk away. Here's the part most people never think about until the CRA sends the letter. Your primary home is protected. The principal residence exemption means that when you sell the house you actually live in, the gain is tax-free. But the cottage? The cottage doesn't get that shield. It's a secondary property. So the day you sell it, the CRA is standing at the exit door like a toll booth. In 2026, the capital gains inclusion rate sits at 50%, which means half of everything your cottage gained in value gets added to your income and taxed. On a place that's doubled since you bought it, that toll can climb well into the tens of thousands of dollars. The exit door is guarded, and you don't walk through it for free. So what do the people who actually understand money do? They hit the manual override. Here's the mindset shift for 2026. In a high-interest economy, rent and relax isn't the loser's move. It's the quiet wealth builder. When you rent a cottage for a couple of weeks in the summer, you pay for the memories, and then you hand the keys back. You never touch the property tax, the septic pump out, the hydro bill, or the insurance. You keep your capital liquid, and liquid capital is powerful. Money sitting inside a TFSA is working for you, growing, compounding, and reachable the moment you need it. Money locked into the mud of a lakebed lot is doing none of that. It's frozen. You can't spend a dock. You can't retire on a view. The renter, sipping coffee on a borrowed deck, is very often the one quietly getting richer. And here's the twist that surprises everyone. The truly wealthy Canadians, the resilient ones, the ones who sleep well at night, a lot of them are selling the second home right now. Not because they can't afford it, because they finally understand what it was costing them. They're trading the cottage back for 2 things money can't easily buy: their margin and their silence. The breathing room in the budget and the quiet in their head. So let's come back to that Friday highway and that cold knot in your stomach. You didn't miss a secret. There is no secret. There's only leverage, stacked on leverage, dressed up to look like success. Because real wealth in Canada isn't about how many front doors you own. It never was. Real wealth is the silence of your debt. It's the absence of that 7% alarm going off in the back of your mind every single month. True freedom is this. You go up to the lake as a guest, you soak in every minute of it, and you leave as the owner of the one thing that actually matters, your own time. Rent the cottage, keep the calm, and we'll see you on the water. If you learned something from this video, like and hit subscribe. See you in the next one.